Finally, we are getting there. Alright, the news in details. Thanks to a section of the Nigerian Heraldry for yet another chapter from their book of mischief and bad faith. It is like the cries of our nomads, particularly those of their armed variants, not those of the victims of their scorched earth activities across the length and breadth of the Federation, have finally reached their heavenly abodes. Was like mass eviction, massacre, genocide, and ethnic profiling have suddenly become the buzzwords in a clan where notions of standards of right and wrong, not least that of human dignity, have come to mean next to nothing. Finally, the hurt is being felt in the part least expected. Alright, welcome to Nigeria, a country of innumerable paradoxes and puzzles. Seems like yesterday when scores of Agatu communities in Benue State were razed and hundreds, including women, children, and the elderly, massacred by suspected herdsmen of the Fulani stock. That was in February 2016. And just when the country was still in wonder as to those behind the heinous crime, a certain Saleh Bayeri, the interim National Secretary of General Allah Fulani Association, had not only stepped forward on behalf of his people to own the crime, but claimed that it was merely a reprisal attack for an earlier injury inflicted on his people. According to him, some 20 Agatu and thief militias had on April 20th, 2013 invaded the compound of one Shehu Abdullahi, killing him and carting away over 200 cows. He claimed that the police confirmed to Fulani leaders that they knew where 150 of the cows were kept, and the divisional of police officer promised to recover and return the cows. As it turned out, nothing of the sort happened. He claimed that 3 days after the murder of Abdullahi and the stealing of his cows, a prominent Fulani leader, Ado Madaki, invited to the palace of the district head of the area to help resolve the crisis, was beheaded. Ado right in the front of the district head. Alright, this action, he had claimed at the time, reverberated across all Fulani people in the whole of West Africa, and the clamor for revenge began to grow strong. We know the rest of the story. 5 years on, there are enough of the harvest of impunity and self-help for our country said to be a constitutional republic to choke on. Okay, such has been the horrific twist in the tales to the age-long farmers' herders clashes, the metastasization of the fostering score to such an extent that an old problem is not only now barely recognizable, but has since become so complex as to become intractable. Okay, one recalls a notable example in 2018 when some communities in Guma and Logo local government of Benue State again came under the fire of the pastoralist militia in an attack that left 73 dead. That time, the Minister of Defense, Mansour Dan Ali, it was that supplied the rationalization. The others is surmised had little choice. It was a last-ditch challenge to an existential threat in the event that their grazing routes had since been taken over by the agrarian farming communities of Benue. As it was not bad enough that the state government enacted the anti-open grazing law, he says it went on to set up and arm forest guards to enforce the legislation. Again, we know the rest of the story. Today, the theater has since shifted to the southwest, and so has the nature and texture of the crisis. Talk of the push coming to the shove, just very much like the thieves and the agatus of the Benue Valley. The increasingly restive Yorubas appear neither willing to turn the other cheek, while a band of rampaging herders turn their homesteads to a wasteland, nor persuaded of the admonition of President Muhammadu Buhari for tolerance in an atmosphere where the government expected to be the guarantor of the public peace has chosen to be either a whole or sin to betray a certain degree of complicity in the tragedy. Yes, everyone is talking of a certain Sunday Igboho and his forces of atavism, his outlawry and mission in self-help. Those who love him, of course, see him as their man of the moment, just as few are prepared to appreciate how much awareness he has brought to the layers of the problem that is not only threatening to tear the country apart but also fast redefining our humanity. To some it suffices that he is broken the law and so the law should be set upon him. Did I hear someone say wishful? It is perfectly understandable that some, while off, enamored of the spacious legalism of invoking the Constitution for a lost cause, would at the same time gloss over other issues that would truly give context and meaning to the whole. A good example is the claim currently bandied about the right of Nigerians to live anywhere of their choosing, as if this vitiates the right to own and keep property, or that a land tenure system is actually in place. Call him a hero or villain. Sunday Igboho's coming, like I pointed out on this page 2 weeks back, seems to be the perfect foil needed to force a rethink in the multifarious issues around Esmen's menace at these dangerous times. So much for the denials at the highest level of government. Few Nigerians could claim to be unaware of the destructive activities of the migrant herders. To them, it is like the laws simply do not exist, or it does at all. It does not affect them. It explains why many of them carry sophisticated arms that they are only too willing to display and use at the slightest provocation. Unfortunately, while it doesn't help matters that the business of pastoralism has come to be associated with the Fulani, or that their modus operandi have tended to convey an impression of untouchables, which oftentimes takes the form of invasion of ancestral lands without care to the concerns of the feelings of the owners. The rape, kidnapping, and the mayhem that is increasingly associated with the occupational group has become something difficult to ignore. And so, the governors, increasing helpless and lacking the formal means to enforce their will in their domains, have had to increasingly improvise, while the people themselves, left at the mercy of the outlaws, have since resorted to helping themselves. Reminds me of Newton's third law: for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. Alright, and then onto this has been said. Well, and then according to the heading, it has been said that finally we are getting there. Alright, that is it, my people, on this one. Well, let me have your take on this, and remember to subscribe for more updates. Thanks and God bless.